I live and work in New York City. Anyone interested in culture knows that New York is awash in museums. In New York, there are museums devoted to the visual arts, museums devoted to history, and others, each focused on a different unique cultural and national identity existing in New York. It seems that New York deals with questions of cultural equity by creating a separate institution for each overlooked or underexamined culture. I would like to examine the Museum of Modern Art, or MoMA as it is commonly known, and its associated facility known as PS1. In her paper, The Distribution and Policy Implications of U.S. State Government General Operating Support to the Arts and Culture, Lessons from the Great Recession, Carol Rosenstein and her co-authors correctly noted that government's general operating support for the arts and cultural institutions tends to end up picking up winners and losers. For those museums and institutions that rely on governmental support, this may be true. However, that is not an ironclad rule because not every museum relies upon the government for support. The Museum of Modern Art operates entirely by means of private funding. This means that MoMA has great latitude in the work it shows, the artists it supports, and how it deals with issues relating to tension over government support and cultural identity issues. MoMA has solved the problem of disputes over the artists it supports by creating a separate museum that is devoted almost entirely to exhibiting difficult work, artwork, and artists that have a more cutting edge sensibility. Because MoMA and PS1 do not rely on government support, MoMA and PS1 set their own agendas and missions based on what they feel supports the artists they exhibit, what is worthy of presentation, and what is important to the patrons who visit each of these different institutions. The main building of the Museum of Modern Art is on 53rd Street in Midtown Manhattan, and it is situated close by some of the greatest New York based financial and media institutions. And like those big banks, it is housed in a tall, sleek, modern building which communicates modernity, culture, art, and wealth. In contrast, PS1 is located in a working class neighborhood of Queens, New York. PS1 occupies a repurposed former public school building which appears to be constantly undergoing repairs. It is not at all tall or sleek. The building communicates working class struggle. Inside, it all looks and feels like the proverbial starving artist studio. As noted by Joni Maya Cherbo in About Artists, society has changed the way artists express themselves. The art shown in these institutions couldn't be more different. Each museum shows work appealing to and reflecting the different neighborhoods and the patrons who frequent each of these museums. The Museum of Modern Art solved the problem of defining, understanding, and communicating a different belief of cultural equity by creating separate museum spaces. MoMA is devoted to high culture, steeped in the accepted codes and concepts and the visual language of modernity formed after World War II. PS1 is a museum devoted to the exploration of art that arises out of multiple non-mainstream cultural identities. PS1 features art expressed in heterodox modes of creativity and often provides visitors access to the most diverse and at-risk forms of creativity, all of which sometimes includes musical performances. PS1's website invites you to attend a wide and diverse array of exhibits created by artists with very different sensibilities and perspectives. Women artists, LGBTQ artists, artists of color, artists from different cultural and national backgrounds are all proudly displayed at PS1. PS1 also hosts music and performance events that are designed to embrace practices that are risk-taking, responsive to, and that inspire connection with the communities. Many of PS1's exhibits are offered in multilingual formats and almost always feature a multicultural perspective. The artists at PS1 create their own cultural identities and invite you to share it with them. When someone visits an exhibit at MoMA PS1, you cannot be afraid to look. You will be surprised and you will leave with a new understanding of what makes up a cultural identity and how it can influence the work of the artist and the museum visitor.